Feels like I'm having deja vu.
Probably because I just unboxed a different pair of these like a week ago. Hey guys, my name is Hayden Jones, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I do sneaker reviews like this and basketball videos, and if you enjoy content like that, maybe consider subscribing. I've been trying to get basketball sneaker reviews like this out as soon as possible so that you guys know whether or not these shoes are worth your money. And with that being said, I am so stoked to get into this pair of shoes. If you missed my last review on these, I did like an initial review, but it was a sample pair, so I didn't really get to test these out. Today I have an official pair of these in my size, and I'm gonna be giving you a full performance review, but let's unbox these real quick, take a look, and then I'm gonna throw them on the court and you'll get a full look into how these shoes perform. All right, taking a look at the box here. This is the same box that we had for the Don Issue 5s. So nothing really to note there, but it doesn't really matter. It's just the box. On the inside, you got Donovan Mitchell's signature here. And let's see, this is the first time I've seen an official pair of these. And man, these are sick. This is the camp colorway. Reason being because Donovan Mitchell does a camp every single year around this time, and he typically drops a colorway along with it, like back with the Don Issue 2s where he had this camp colorway. So it's a very bright multicolor colorway, perfect for summer basketball. But you guys are here for a performance review. If you want a detailed overview on these shoes, check out my last video where I had a sample pair and I went over like all of the minor little details in this shoe. But with that being said, let's take these things to the court and I'll be right back with a full sneaker review on these things. All right, I'm back to give my full thoughts after playing in these shoes for quite a while, and I've got some pretty positive feedback to give these things. Now, first and foremost, when I do my performance reviews, I have a grading system that I'm gonna put a graphic of right here. It's gonna tell you what the breakdown on what the grading is and how many points each thing is worth. It's out of 100, and then you can compare it to other shoes that I've reviewed, like the Don Issue 5s, which scored an 85 out of 100. So with that being said, let's get right into it with the aesthetics. The aesthetics of these are crazy. I actually really love these, especially this camp colorway. It just is a super sick colorway. I love all these gradients going on, and there's a lot of really fresh colorways coming out. I'll put some pictures up on the screen of some of those, especially those mint ones. There's like a halo mint and a lucid pink colorway that look sick. I think that mint one might be my favorite, but these are super sick as well. And with that, I'm gonna give the aesthetics a 14 out of 15, which is just 1 point lower than the Don Issue 5s, because I do think that these are still slightly superior when it comes to the aesthetics. But it's a very, very close battle, and I'm barely gonna give it to the 5s. Up next is the support. The support was actually really solid in these. I was a little worried about the support at first, just because the materials are a lot more minimal than the materials on the 5s, which had amazing support, but the support is really, really strong in these. I would say it might be just like a tiny notch down from the 5s, but all of the Donovan Mitchell shoes have a really, really wide base, which I love because I have only turned my ankles in the 4s, really. The 4s had probably the smallest base, but the Don Issue 6s, again, have a great wide base, and I really never was worried about me turning my ankle. And because of that, I'm gonna give the support a 13 out of 15. Up next is the traction. The traction has the highest points possible out of any of the categories because traction is just so important when it comes to basketball shoes. If you're gonna be slipping and sliding, what's the point of owning the shoe? And the traction on these is just as good as I thought it was gonna be when I was reviewing those samples. I'm gonna bring these down just so you guys can see for comparison. The traction on these is just insane. I think it's easily the best traction on any of Donovan Mitchell's shoes. They bit the ground so well, and as you can see from this video I'm about to show, the squeak is insane. Squeak doesn't really matter when it comes to actual traction. You could have a really good squeaky shoe and the traction could still be pretty mid, because there were some silent stops in this that were just insanely harsh. So it doesn't always squeak, it typically does, but even when it doesn't squeak, you still bite the ground so well in these. I'm so thrilled about the traction. I think it's probably the biggest draw. If you were picking one of his 6 shoes and you wanted something with good traction, this is the way to go. I mean, this has definitely the best traction in his entire line, and it was just awesome to play in. I barely even had to wipe the bottom of the shoes. And this right here, see the outsole, how clean it is? This is after hours and hours of playing in these, and the outsole is still just like, it looks brand new. And the court that I was playing on, it's pretty dusty. Like it has been known to be dusty. And I don't think that they had just recently mopped or anything in there. I mean, it was probably more clean than usual, but it was not that clean, and these just didn't pick up dust for me. They maybe did a little bit, but I would wipe and I wouldn't have to do it again for like 10 full stops. So these are just incredible. Absolutely love the traction, and that's why I'm gonna give the traction an 18 out of 20. The only thing that could have made it better is if I didn't have to wipe at all, I guess, but it didn't really matter, and it did not bother me having to wipe once every 10 stops. Up next is the material and the quality. And the materials on these, I mean, they're probably not the most high quality materials in the entire world, but they're really solid, especially for performance. I don't know how luxurious they are. It's mostly just textiles and mesh, but the materials rock for performance. They really conform to your foot. You can see how thin this material is and how breathable it is. It really felt like there was not much on top of my foot or pressing down on it, which was probably the biggest drawback to the Dawn Issue 5s. The materials on these were just kind of clunky, and you definitely felt these on the top of your foot, which again improved the support, but was a drawback when it came to overall performance. But I really like the materials on these, and so I'm going to be giving the materials a 12 out of 15. Up next is the cushion, and the cushion on this is full-length Lightstrike Pro. At least that's what I believe it is. Adidas says Lightstrike and just Lightstrike, but it says Lightstrike Pro right here on the shoe, so I would assume that it's full-length Lightstrike Pro, and it's really, really solid. I don't really notice a ton of a difference between this Lightstrike Pro and regular Lightstrike, except for the fact that I do think it's a little bit lighter, because these shoes in general are a lot lighter than the Dawn Issue 5s. The cushion's also just super, super nice to land on. There were really never any harsh landings in these, and that's just Lightstrike in general. It's a really solid cushion, but I'm already noticing that this does feel just a little bit lighter. Other than that, it feels like the Lightstrike that we all know and love, and because of that, I'm gonna give it a 13 out of 15, which is 1 point higher than regular Lightstrike, just because I think it's a little bit lighter. Up next is the fit, and the fit on these I'm going to be giving a 5 out of 5. I went with a 10.5, which is my true size, and I like to have like a tiny bit of room in my toe, and I have just that. I actually might size down to a 10, but that's not because of the sizing of this shoe. This shoe has perfect sizing. If you have a pair of Dawn Issue 5s and 4s, but definitely 5s, the sizing is basically the exact same. The only reason that I like the sizing in these for me personally more is because of the materials. I definitely wanted more room with these materials, but because these materials are so thin and lightweight, I think I'm gonna go to a size 10 so that it'll be closer to my toes, but that's just a personal preference thing. So if you typically like space because of a material in a shoe that bothers you, you definitely don't need to go up a half size. If anything, you could go down a half size, but just go to your true size. The sizing is really, really solid on these, and I think if you go true to size, you're gonna be good to go. Just jumping in here because I'm a goober and I forgot to mention what the lockdown was like. I think it's really good. There's this little heel pad that helps with lockdown a lot with heel slippage. And the lace system is also really, really solid. A lot of good support in the forefoot, and overall just conforms and locks down to your foot really well. I didn't notice any slippage or anything like that. Up next is the weight. I don't weigh my shoes before I play in them, which I know that sounds weird, but I don't really want to know what the weight is because I care more about like if it feels light on my foot. Because there are some shoes that are really light, like the Dawn Issue 3s are actually the lightest shoe in his entire collection, but for some reason they kind of feel clunky to me. I've never been a fan of the Dawn Issue 3s performance-wise, and so sometimes lightweight doesn't matter a ton. So I'm gonna include the weight right here. I think that these are potentially the lightest shoe in his line. I'll also include whether or not that's true right here on the screen. But regardless, I'm giving the weight a 5 out of 5. I never noticed a problem. They did not feel bottom heavy. Some of Donovan Mitchell's shoes definitely felt bottom heavy, especially the 2s. The upper on this shoe was actually really nice with this mesh and everything, but this rubber outsole that just kind of protruded way up here was so thick and clunky, and I didn't mind it that much, but it was definitely a bottom heavy shoe, which I don't like. And this doesn't feel bottom heavy at all. It's got great weight distribution, and I really enjoyed playing in these. I felt so lightweight. I haven't gotten a lot of full court runs in on these, or even a lot of pickup games in these. A lot of the time that I spent in the gym playing in these was just shooting around or doing layups and running to the rim, but I just felt so explosive and bouncy in these. I just absolutely loved them, especially with the weight. The weight was just no problems there. Up next is durability. The durability is okay in these. There's some people in the comments of my last video asking about durability with the Don Issue 6s. Durability is 100% great for indoor use. I think for outdoor use, it's not amazing. The grooves are pretty thick, but they're also pretty pliable. So I would probably go with like a pair of Don Issue 1s for outdoor use. That's the pair that I always use outside. For some reason, the rubber compound is so thick on those, I've never really worried about it. Plus, the grooves on the Don Issue 1 are super close together, and the durability for outdoor use is probably just the strongest on these out of his entire line. So the durability, it's definitely not bad. I mean, these are gonna last you forever if you're playing indoors with them. The only thing that might be an issue as well is the light strike bottoming out. That happened to me with my Don Issue 4s, and I talked about that in my last review. The light strike on these, and this is a fresh pair, but the light strike on the pair that I used to play in was just so cooked after like a year in playing in them, just because it is such a nice and plush material that it can start to bottom out after a while. But even once it bottoms out, it's still not that bad to play in. You just won't notice as much spring in your step. So I'm gonna be giving the durability a 3 out of 5. It's still really solid. And then last but not least is the price. And I'm gonna be giving the price a 5 out of 5, just like I did with the Don Issue 5s. And that is because it's 120 bucks and it's a great performer. The Don Issue 5s were a fantastic performer. I really enjoyed playing in this shoe, and I enjoyed playing in the 6s even more so far. I've really noticed very little issues with this. No pun intended, actually pun intended. I keep saying issue because it's the Don Issue. But anyways, I've really noticed like not a lot of issues with these. But another thing about Donovan Mitchell shoes is they always go on sale. I've gotten some of his shoes, like these right here, these Don Issue 4s in the, in whatever this is, the Dream It pink gradient colorway. I got these for like $30 on Dick's Sporting Goods, like midway through their lifespan. And the same thing goes for the Don Issue 5s. I got a pair of Don Issue 5s. I got this pair from Dick's Sporting Goods for 60 bucks. And you can also get the like the lime colored ones, the green ones from Adidas right now for 60 bucks. His shoes always go on sale. I don't think that they're like everybody's priority because there's not as many Donovan Mitchell fans as there are like Anthony Edwards fans right now. You could probably grab these in like 3 or 4 months for at least 80 bucks or maybe even like 70 bucks. And then by the time that the lifespan is over, if there's any pairs left, you can probably grab a pair for 50 or 60 bucks. So the price is 120, which is still a great price for these. So if you want to grab them when they drop, do it. I don't think you're making a mistake. But if you want to wait a little while, then I would wait a little while and you could get them for a huge discount. I can almost guarantee that. So yeah, that's it for all of the main categories. I'm going to be giving the shoes a score of 88 out of 100, which is a few points higher than I gave the Don Issue 5s. I do think that these are the new best performing shoe in his entire line, and I can't wait to keep playing in them. If I discover any new flaws or if I notice anything new that's good or bad about the shoe, I'll create a YouTube short and you can get updates on it. But right now, I'm just loving the performance on these, and I think that if you are considering picking up a pair, you should pick up a pair. I genuinely think that Adidas is on a serious come up right now with the AE 1s and then the AE 2s about to drop, the Don Issue 6s, the Dame 9s, which we don't know if they're going to be good, but overall they've been putting out so many good shoes, and the Harden Volume 8s, I almost forgot about that. One last thing I wanted to talk about, which I'm not going to include in the total score, is do these things feel bouncy? And what I mean by that is, can you jump well in them? I am a dunker, or at least I enjoy dunking, and so I wanted to know how bouncy I felt in these, and I didn't land any dunks probably because I was spending all day yesterday trying to dunk, so my legs are just so fried. But I did feel bouncy, especially with dead legs in these. I mean, I felt super bouncy. So as a little bonus, I think these things work great if you are a dunker or if you're interested in jumping. Just the explosiveness in general is so great in these, and they have so much rebound and bounciness. The flex when you're running in these is great. The heel to toe transition in these is great. I think these, along with the Cosmic Unity 2s, are going to be kind of my duo pair for like the next few months because I really love playing in both of these shoes. But I do think that the Donna Issue 6s are probably going to be my most worn just because, again, I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. If you couldn't tell from all of the shoes that I have here, plus the 50 pairs that I have in my closet, yeah, I have like over 50 pairs of Donovan Mitchell shoes. If you want to see my whole collection, leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments down below and I will answer any of those for you. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of the love that this channel has been getting. I started it like 8 months ago, and then all of a sudden I've got like I have over 400 subscribers now, which is mind-blowing to me, and I'm so thrilled. And I'm so happy to be making content that you guys enjoy. I got a lot more content on the way, and if you want a sneaker reviewed, leave it down in the comments below and I might review it for you. Yeah, you. Just you. Just that one person who wants that one sneaker reviewed. I will do it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Keep on playing basketball, or whatever it is you do. That's the outro for today. See you later.